Hi, this is Carla from Flowingcreek, and today I'm going to show you how to make this layered paper card. I'm also going to show you how you can take this SVG and make this card in two different ways. Today we're going to talk about how to take an SVG and make it a little more special. How to make it your own. A lot of times you'll buy an SVG and you might make the thing that you saw the first time, but then next time you make it, you might want to make it a little more special. So first we're going to make this one. This is a thank you card. It's not glued together yet. These are the pieces. Right here that come with this SVG. It's a bunch of, there's a sentiment, some mats, some different things. This is a card base. This is a card base I already had because I pre-make my card bases so I can have my logo on the back. I print them up and then I cut them out using my paper cutter. But the SVG contains one that you can print and cut if you want to, if you don't have your own card base. This card is A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I like to use these two-way glue sticks. They're fast and easy for these kind of projects, and they're great for small things. I use both of them because this one has this chisel tip, and it's really good for the really small pieces. It dries pretty quickly though. And for the bigger pieces, I like to use this one. This one has the rollerball tip. It puts out a little more liquidy glue and doesn't dry as fast, so I like to use it for any bigger pieces that I might have. But you could use any glue that you like to glue, that you like to use. A lot of people like to use their favorite brand, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to start with the small piece here with the sentiment, and usually what I do is first line it up and make sure it's facing the right way so I know where to put the glue. So nothing's worse than gluing something upside down. And then since this is such a tiny piece, we're going to use this chisel tip here, and I kind of dot it on. Probably should have used my little glue mat that I like to use, but I didn't do that, so we're just gonna make a mess today. I'm sure everybody has this same struggle. So there's glue on all the pieces, and I'm just gonna quickly flip it over, wipe this glue off so we don't glue ourselves to the mat, and put it on right here. And you gotta kind of work quickly, but there you have it. That part's done. For the rest of the card, I kind of dry fit it so that I don't make mistakes and I have everything lined up. And then I'm gonna take these off. We'll probably do those last, or next to last. We'll figure out how it fits with the sentiment. They're a little fragile, so I'm just gonna push them off to the side here. And then I tend to flip this over. Got my card base right there. I like to assemble all of my card pieces and then put the whole thing on the card base later. So I'm going to set this off to the side and then glue this red piece to it. I'm just going to make sure that it lines up. Yep, this is how it's supposed to go. The big one is with the big one. And I know I need to glue this side. So I'm going to use this glue, and you just squeeze it as you roll, and you can put the glue on. But you see it puts a fairly small thing of glue, but sometimes it's a little too big for the pieces like we did earlier. So I tend to not want to use it for really tiny stuff. And again, you know, when you're working small, it's best to dot it on. It does dry clear, but I will caution that it dries a little shiny. So if you don't want that shininess, wipe up after you're done any kind of glue messes that you leave. That's just something that I do. So we got our glue on there. Maybe it's a little too much, not sure. We're just gonna line this up like that. And then, you know, press it down. I don't really feel like I need a bone folder for this project, but if you want to use a bone folder or even like a scraper tool, you can use that to kind of spread the glue out. I did kind of put a lot of glue on there, so sometimes I'll use this. You could use a brayer, any number of tools, but just make sure you wipe up the excess. So that's done. And then this card has a ring that goes around here. It's just like a decorative frame. So doesn't matter which side I do, but I'm going to do this side. And I think we'll be brave. We'll use this glue right here. I tend to get messy with glue, so that's why I don't always like to use this glue, because I can be a little heavy-handed with it. It takes a while to get the hang of gluing, I've found, in my card making journey. So I'm gonna put this right here and just push it down. See, got a little excess there. And that's why the other glue might have been better, but it's done. All right, so now we can glue this whole piece onto the card front before we finish embellishing it. I'm going to, for this one, because this is such a big heavy piece, I do want to put a good amount of glue. The thing about this glue is that while it's still wet, it's blue. And if you put it on, adhere it while it's still wet, it holds better. So the other one puts on such a thin layer of glue that it tends to dry when you're doing these big pieces. It tends to dry up before you get done with them. So, and I try not to get it, I mean, I do the edges, but I don't do the very edge because the glue oozes out the side. And one last check to make sure my card base is not upside down. And I line it up carefully and just put it on. Try to make sure you don't have a bunch of glue on your fingers so that when you're doing this part, you're not smearing more glue around, because that has happened to me too. And you can kind of, you know, come over it maybe with this rounded end. Just kind of get it adhered good there. So we have our basic card front. So now we need to put this sentiment on there. And then I have these little leaves, which you could truthfully put wherever you want to fit them. I know, I think in the picture I have them, or in my file, I had them in here, but they don't seem to want to fit in here. And I also had this angled. So you could do this however you want to. So this is the first way that you can change up your SVG. You can decide where you want to put things. Maybe you don't want all of these. Maybe you just want one leaf. There are 3, but you can always use the leaves for another project. Or you could put one up here. My fingers are a little sticky. And you could kind of just put them around. It's really up to you. So I kind of like this. So I'm going to put them right there and kind of leave it like that. I mean, you could also do just two, but today we're just going to do this. And you have a nice thank you card. So now I'm going to take my other glue pen because these are so fine. Oh, wrong pen. Don't use the wrong pen. And I'm just going to barely dot it on. You may also want to use tweezers for this part. This is usually how I end up with glue all over my fingers. As I'm trying to deal with small parts. Find a dry finger to stick it on with. And see, I didn't even put the sentiment on there, but I'm going to do that now. Now, because this is 2 layers, I am going to use the other glue pen because anytime I have anything more than 1 layer, I feel like you need a good amount of glue so that it doesn't dry up and just flake right off. So that's why I'm choosing to use a little more glue. The nice thing about these glue pens is they come in different sizes. I have a really fat one floating around somewhere. It's really cool. Although, first time I used it, I got glue everywhere. So, you know, you do have to practice. So I think that's reasonably straight. And we'll just put those there. And then we'll finish our leaves up. And just dot a little glue on. Ignore my dog. My dog is over making noises. You know, he's been quiet all day till it's time to record. And then he's got to bark every 2 seconds. So we just have one there. And then we'll do the third one up here. Now I'm going to put the glue on it. Again, just dot it on. Working kind of fast. These don't need much glue. They're very lightweight. So like I said, 1 layer is lightweight. Doesn't need much glue. 2 or more layers, you may need a little more glue. And for those big parts, you could even use a tape runner. I like to use my tape runner sometimes. Okay, so this is the first card. I'm gonna do this whole thing again, but let's change up the colors and make it a little bit fancy. So I have one sitting here ready to go. Haven't glued it yet, but look at this. Instead of the brown, I substituted it with a metallic red. I have this metallic cardstock, and I changed the ring to a brown, and I changed the word to a brown. I think that is a little bit fancy. It kind of is a contrast to this one. So this is another way that you could make this card fancy. So I'm going to make this one real quick. And then we'll make another one and take it up even more. And you see I have these leaves laid out a little different too. So we'll try that. Just see how it is. So again, we will start with the sentiment down here. I love fall. Fall is my favorite season. I guess that's why there's more fall things in my shop. and I struggle to get other things in my shop because I just love fall so much. I like the colors. I like the way fall smells. It smells nice. Maybe it's the maple. We have maple trees everywhere where I live, so it smells like maple. All right, so we got these leaves on. Because they're small and I didn't put much glue on them, you kind of want to pat them down. If you missed a spot, you could take a toothpick and, you know, fix that up if you needed to. And then we're going to put this brown ring on. Last time we used the other glue. Let's use this glue this time. You see what I mean? It doesn't go on quite as gloppy. It goes on in a really thin layer. So I can just stick that on there where it goes. It just gives it a little bit of polish, I think, having that frame. All right. And we will stick this onto our card base. We've made our front. We're back to the wet glue. I have a habit of doing this off camera, so bear with me. Just want to make sure that it stays on. Now, since I sell my cards, I like to really make sure that it stays on. And see, the ring is already coming off, so I'm going to have to re-glue it. Also, I have glue on my fingers, so I'm trying not to smear it onto this card. But I'm going to take it, I don't know, maybe this is sticky enough. I didn't go over it enough. It's not staying on, so I'm going to take it off before it gets too far gone. And I'm going to use a wetter glue. So this is what happens. And like I said, I sell my cards, so I tend to make a bunch of cards at once, and I don't know how long it's going to be before they sell. So I like to make sure that the parts are going to stay on. It's different if you're making a card, you're going to give it to somebody right away, and who knows what they're going to do with it. You know, we all know people throw away the cards. I know, it's sad. You don't want to hear about it, but people do. They don't always keep the greeting cards, even though they're works of art, and we love them so much. We poured our heart and soul into them as if they're going to keep them, but we got to get real, right? Okay, so I think that this is enough. I got a little bit of glue up there. So it's time to put this sentiment on with our wetter glue. This is a lot. Maybe I'm squeezing too hard. But it's cool because you can kind of write, and when you're doing text anyway, it's kind of nice. So, see, I got a little bit too much glue. We're going to ignore that. I don't want to smear it around too much because sometimes, you know, you go to wipe the glue and it doesn't, it like smears everywhere. And if I take a napkin, I have these. Why do I have Thanksgiving napkins? Because I've hosted Thanksgiving twice since I moved into this house. And so every year when the napkins go on sale, I buy them because I figure I'm hosting Thanksgiving. This year I'm not hosting Thanksgiving though. I am going out of town for Thanksgiving, so I'm left with a bunch of napkins, but that's okay. It's all right. We'll see how this glue does with the metallic, because the metallic cardstock is just a little bit thicker than the other. It may be that we just need to hold it down more. But I really don't want to do the other one because I am too heavy-handed for that. You may have better control over your hands, but I don't. So we can kind of take your eye away from that glue smudge too. I'm putting that up there. And so this is just one way that you can alter an SVG that you get. You can use different colored paper, or you can use different types of paper. And in this case, I used a metallic paper because I like shiny things. You could use glitter paper. You could use textured paper. I know textured paper is all the rage right now. If you have embossing folders and you have a manual die cutting machine, you can make your own embossed paper and, you know, get some texture. So this is the final card, and it's kind of jazzed up compared to this. I like them both. I like this one because it's nice and subtle, but I like this one because it's shiny. So, you know, to each his own. Really, truly, I could have done it the other way. I could have done the matte red as the matte and the metallic red as the base and flipped this. Or I could have used the brown as the base and done the metallic red on top and made it really shiny. But I thought that this is nice because it just adds like a touch of shine to it. It's almost, so now we have our second version over here. So for the third version, we're going to introduce some textured paper into this. I chose a different color metallic paper. I have orange because I was thinking, oh, maybe I should do like yellow and orange, which you could do this with yellow cardstock and orange cardstock, and you could vary the colors here. The way this is set up, you can't really change the leaf colors there, but you could cut these small leaves out of different colors. And of course you could do the matte in yellow and orange. But this is, you know, similar to the other one. There's brown on top and then the orange, which I thought was kind of subtle. Or maybe it's a nod to Cleveland because I live outside of Cleveland. And the Cleveland Browns colors are brown and orange. I'm not some huge football fan. I just think it's funny. Maybe I'm just used to looking at brown and orange. But I thought that this kind of made the red pop too, in a slightly different way than this does. You see, it's just got a different quality to it. So I chose to do that, and I found this paper, this pattern paper. It's not cardstock, it's just paper. But I thought, what if I stuck it behind here, which this is just a scrap piece of paper, and this is a good use of your scraps. And I put it back there, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And you got little fall words in there too. So that's what we're gonna make this time, is the orange version. And this one has a brown ring. I mean, I could have made an orange ring. I could have made a craft colored ring, but I thought that that looked really nice and that adds something to it. So you could use any kind of pattern paper. You might want to not use a pattern any bigger than this, but you could. I mean, you could use like a wavy line pattern, something that coordinates with your paper. I also thought of some things like you could do it in black. You could even use like a black metallic or a white metallic. Of course, you could put it on a white card base as well. Possibilities are endless. And that's the one thing that I love about card making, is that there are so many possibilities. And for those of you who are wondering, it was really easy to cut the cardstock, the metallic cardstock. The other thing is, I mean, in your software, I don't know what kind of machine you use, you can go into your software and you can change the colors that it shows on the screen to kind of get an idea of how it's going to look. Of course, you don't have to do that. You just put a different color paper onto your mat and cut it. And that's how you change the colors. But, you know, you don't know until you try it the first time. Where are we putting our leaves this time? I don't know. I kind of like this one with the leaves right there. Kind of draws your eye around. I don't know. So there you have it. There's the orange one with the patterned paper. So other things you could do, you know, not necessarily for this particular SVG. It didn't lend itself to putting the patterned paper on the front. But if you had more of that patterned paper, you could also put it on the inside. You could put a little strip on the inside to, you know, just jazz it up. You could put it on the outside. I have other cards that I've made where the top panel is kind of plain and you could just do that in a pattern paper. The same with the textured paper. You could do that there. You want to be careful with this particular SVG that this design, if you were to emboss the paper, you would want to use something very small, like a small texture. Like, you see how small this texture is? You could do something like that on this. But if you were to put a big texture, it might not fit. And I just realized I forgot the ring. All right, so there we have it. This leaf is a little close, but that's because we didn't put the ring on because I forgot. It happens. And that's what makes cards look unique, because I forget halfway through. And so each one is a little different. But this is 3 examples of how you can use the same SVG, but change it up by changing the colors or changing the materials that you use. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching me make this project. Leave me a comment and let me know how you liked this project and what other kinds of projects you would like to watch me make on this channel. Follow the links in the description to get the project files or supplies. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like these. And visit my website at flowingcreek.com.